Hey, everybody, welcome back to Hero Marketing. This is Josh Cates, founder and CEO and author of The Marketing Revolution. And I am so excited because today we have got a rock star team member with us today. We have Miss Jessica, who is our paid media director. Jess, thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
Yeah, glad to have you. So listen, today is going to be, the topic's going to be 7 questions every home service business owner asks about Google Ads. Now, let me preface today. 2 things that kind of prompted this video. Number 1, I was just on the Workbench podcast, and I shared the story along with some other strategies on how we helped a Texas HVAC and plumbing company save over $100,000 annually in wasted ad spend. This is really geared towards the $7-8 million a year operator and above, especially the 8-figure companies. Now, if you're sitting here, I'm at 2, I'm at 3, awesome, great start. You're building a great business. There are definitely some things to take away here, but think about, like, if you're in that spend of 60, 70, 100, 200K a month, where some of our bigger clients are, your paid media is critical to your success, and ad waste and strategies are, that should be top of mind as part of your business and your operational skill set. So we're just going to kind of cover, we put some feelers out there, talk to our clients, and these are the 7 things that came back. So here's the thing. What we're seeing, we've been in this industry for 20 years, and what we're seeing more and more is that, like, our story isn't just a success story, but it's a window into a broader challenge that's facing this market. So right now, the home service industry is valued at about $893 billion. Just HVAC and plumbing alone, about $200 billion. So between shady vendors, vanity metrics, which you're going to hear a lot about vanity metrics, and ineffective digital strategies, I am seeing that a lot of business owners are coming to us and they are bleeding money. They're bleeding profit. And so we want to educate you guys. We want to share with you some things today and just make you a better consumer and make your paid strategy work for you and be successful for you. So let's jump right into it, Jess. And so again, we've got Jessica with us. She is our director of paid media here at Hero Marketing Agency. So Jess, just tell everybody a little bit about what you are, and then we'll get into the first question, which has to do with bleeding budget.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing Google Ads and local services ads for over 10 years for home services companies. Y'all are my people. I love working in this little niche, and I think it's so valuable that that's what we do at Hero. We see the trends because we have clients all across the United States who are in it, and that helps us make better value-driven decisions. So I love what we do, and I love the people that we work with.
Thank you, Jess. And just to give you guys context, we run millions in paid advertising spend annually. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we start. Number 1, please make sure you own your ad account. If that's something that you don't have intellectual property and access to, make sure you own your ad account. We can get into that later if we need to. And then the other thing is just transparency in your reporting. At Hero, we personally put all of the paid media charges on our client's credit card. We want to have absolute trust and transparency. So just a couple of things to consider as we get into the concept of today. So first of all, question number one, where are we bleeding budget and how do we cut the ad waste? So Jess, you're at high spend levels. You're at 70, 100, 200 a month.
Yeah.
It's not about clicks at that. Well, it is always about clicks, but at that point, it's about eliminating inefficiency and eliminating what we call low intent traffic and wasted service zones. So if somebody's watching this and they're like, my budget's $1 million a year on paid ads, what is the first thing somebody can do to cut waste and be more efficient?
Oh, that's easy. It's one of the first things I do in a new account is look at the keywords that you have spent money on and have not converted. They're not doing anything for you. Even if it's a great keyword, if you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on it and it is not resulting in conversions, it's got to go.
What's your time frame for that? I mean, obviously you can't make snap decisions. So what's the time frame where you say, I've given this, and a keyword could be, whatever, something, and give us an example of that.
90 days. A great example is I've had a couple of clients where something about near me searches does not convert as well or at all versus, AC repair near me or AC repair. And those near me searches just don't convert as well. And yes, it's a great keyword, but if it is not bringing in dollars for you, it's got to go. You have to double down on what's working and cut out what's not.
Okay, I love it. So again, back to the kind of original concept from the Workbench podcast that initiated this, 100K in ad waste. That was a huge find. The client's now doing great. It hurt. You're always going to have. I mean, I don't know what the latest stat is on percentage.
Sure.
I'm not saying you eliminate it completely, but
right.
I think your point is when you're hiring an agency like us, your paid media team should be watching this closely and communicating with you often so that you know that we're doing our very best to keep that budget from bleeding into things that are not converting into customers. Okay, number 2, which campaigns, keywords, and channels are driving booked revenue, not just leads? So the term attribution at the job level is crucial. You want to know exactly what's moving the needle, not just driving form fills. So how do we approach that? How would somebody approach that as a business operator to understand their best channels and then how to best determine their return on investment for those channels?
Man, we have a great team here that all works together to do that. I would say when you're doing those monthly calls with your marketing agency, make sure that where the dollars are going, you are also seeing booked appointments on your end. If there's a mismatch there, something's got to change.
Yeah, so we're big fans of call tracking. We're big fans of what we call operational decision making. So when we look at marketing, and Casey, our client strategist, kind of says this best, you're going to hear her a lot. Marketing should not be in a silo. And so what we mean by that is when we're working with the client, one thing we're looking at is we're working directly with leadership, your CSRs, your call center, your operational decision making, your CRM, and your marketing. And the reason that's so critical is because as we're getting in, most of our clients are on Service Titan, and I would say a lot of the people watching this today are on Service Titan. There are so many tools within that program that if you're setting it up right, are really going to give you a very crystal clear picture into your call tracking, your revenue, your leads, your lost leads, if you're rehashing using something like Chirp. But I think it's really critical if you're watching this that you truly understand what are we paying for and what is our true return on that ad spend. Okay, this is a big one. How are LSA, PPC, and display working together? Where are we overlapping? What do we need? What do we not need? So this gets into what's considered like cross-channel synergy. So I would say for our clients, we're not really doing much display, but there are a lot of questions surrounding, well, why is my LSA not working? Or why is it not driving the leads? And then how does it play in comparison to my PPC?
Sure. I love a multi-factor approach like that, where you're hitting people in different placements. So local services ads, that's your Google business profile. PPC's Google ads, it can show on search, and then display can show on third-party websites. You test them all, you find what works. If something is not providing a return, you might pull back on that area. Like I mentioned, double down on what's doing well. But when you have a big budget like that, you've got to try it. You've got to test. And sometimes it's not going to work, but sometimes it is. And what if it does, right? Like you have to give it a chance and you have to go after it.
Let's push into this a little bit with LSA, because a common complaint we hear is, I don't know, my LSA is not generating the leads I want, and what can I do about that? So give our viewers here, what are 3 or 4 or 5 things that they could do today to their LSA to try to get it to start performing better for them?
Oh yeah, LSAs are, I don't have to tell y'all, HVAC and plumbing is a competitive, home services, it's competitive, like crazy. And the majority of the time you're going up against 20, 30, 40, 50 other businesses who do what you do, and you have to stand out. Reviews, number 1 on LSA, reviews. Review generation equals lead generation. If you take anything from the LSA conversation, take that. Make sure you're asking for reviews, have a system. Your profile has to look nice, so that means photos too. Testing out new photos, continuously getting those through, and then play with your targeting, play with your budget, would be kind of the other things, and the locations that you're targeting as well.
Yeah, and I think also as you talk about photos, which I totally agree with, I mean, brand value all comes down to the quality of how people look at you online. We've seen recently some people that are posting photos of like their vans or their fleet vehicles, and if you have a prominent phone number or website, it actually being kicked out. And so, like you said, kind of play with the photos, just test and see what works, but don't expect overnight success. But you have to have that LSA running. Okay, this is huge. And here's why this question comes up, because the question is, how fast can we test and optimize based on real data? Now, this has a huge asterisk next to it, and here's why. In fact, this month, I think we have 3 coming over this month. We have several 7- and 8-figure clients sign on with us that don't own their ad account because they've been with a big box company. Their ads have been running under their Google ad. And so even these huge established companies are coming to us and they're having to kind of start over. And so usually it's like, well, gosh, if we're going to do that, how quick are we going to see results? But the broader question is, how fast can we test and optimize and see results? So speed to decision, competitive advantage, and then talk a little bit about how we look at our accounts weekly based on job board activity and demand. Just kind of talk about realistically, is this something where you're going to see a result in a day, in a week? How often are you touching these accounts for maximum efficiency?
So the first thing I'll say, if you're in there changing things every day, you're doing too much. You have to let the system do its thing. As far as how long it takes to, after you make a change, to be able to have enough data, meaningful data to make a decision, it depends on your budget. At a minimum, even with our highest budget clients, I like to give it 10, 14 days before saying, okay, this is working, or okay, this is not working and we need to pivot. The lower the budget that you have, the longer it's going to take.
I love that. So at Hero, a couple of things we do that I think are good tips for people watching this video today. Number one, at the first of each week, we're looking at our clients' job boards. We're looking at the number of technicians, the availability. Is this like a comfort club? Is it an installation? Is it a demand call? I think one thing that's really critical is, depending on your need in your company, that should be playing a part into how much you're spending and where that money's going. So I think that's number one. Is, again, this goes back to that point, operational decision making. Are you internally working with your marketing team and pivoting each week accordingly to make sure that you're trying your best to maximize your team and your value? So I think that's number one. And then number two, the other thing that we do is we look at budget pacing. So let me give you an example there. We're all based, most of us, in Texas. Our web team's out in Colorado. It's hot. It's really hot here, but it also gets really cold. So I think back to this winter, we had some really bad cold snaps. And so what happens? We look at that forecast coming up, we look at that client's budget, and we say, hey, next week may not be that good for you because it's going to be really mild, but this week we're getting freezes. It's going to get cold. Like, let's take that budget, and instead of just pacing it out over the whole month, let's hammer in on this week, maximize your profit and revenue. And then if we do really well, great, we can go pull more budget if we need to. But I think it's also critical that you're moving and testing that budget around based on demand, based on seasonality, based on need. So that's the fifth question. All right, here's number 6. Josh, are we targeting the right zip codes and service areas based on profit per job? I love this question because we see a lot of waste that can go to your furthest market area that you serve. So you got a lot of downtime and drive time and expense, or you're spending a lot of money in an area that your service titan or your CRM is telling you is simply not generating the kind of money that you want. So let's talk about, how do you set up our campaigns for the highest performing markets, and how do you do that in conjunction with Casey and our team who's doing the research on the zip codes and the revenue?
Absolutely. When we're starting a new account, one of the things we look at is, where have you been successful in the past? Start there so we can establish a good, strong campaign, and then maybe test out adding from there. So part of what our team does with Casey, and they gather a list of like their top 10 most profitable zip codes over the last year. And that gives us a good starting place, because I love to look at the data and say, hey, we're spending $3,000 a week in this zip code, and we got one booked appointment, and that's just not smart money spending, right? That's not smart budgeting. So that's kind of where we start, with that list of zip codes. And then that's something that we're discussing with the client every month on our call. Hey, let's look at where the money is going, and is it on the other side turning into booked jobs, into real revenue?
I love that. So I think my challenge, again, if you're watching this is something so easy you could do with your team, like in 20, 30 minutes, is go pull your trailing 12 months or even your last 2 years, break it down by your highest revenue, by zip code. And again, to Jessica's point, pull 10, pull 12 of the top 10 or top 12. Then go compare that with your marketing budget on your Google ad account and see if they align. And then the other piece of that puzzle is layer in the other things you're doing. Is your SEO strategy and keywords, is that also aligning with those market areas? Are your service pages on your website aligning with those top 10 areas? Is your direct mail aligning? It's all a layered approach. You think about how many touches it takes to reach somebody. So I think that's a good tip. And before we get to number 7 here, I think it's really critical that anytime we're getting information like this, that we're backing it up with data. So one thing that we just completed, this is what, end of May here. So this video will date itself soon enough. But we looked at our clients' performance, top line revenue from January to April, because everybody's books are now closed out, and we looked at clients who were not with us last January and April. So January and April 2024, non-hero clients, January to April 2025 under our management. Our client portfolio as an average is up 47% in top line revenue. They say you want to be growing by at least 10 to 15% just to keep up with inflation, but 47% average growth, not too shabby. So we know what we're doing here. We're a 20-year-old family-founded business. We have an incredible team. All of our leadership have HVAC operational and business and marketing experience. So we give you this information because we know it firsthand, and we do this day in and day out with our team. And so I'm hopeful that this is helping your company. Okay, last one. What KPIs should my marketing team obsess over, and what's just noise? This gets back to my very first point of vanity metrics. I think the two things that I hear most common when I'm consulting or talking to businesses that are considering a change is, A, I get reports and I have no clue what they are and what's actually important. So that's that vanity metrics. Or B, I'm left to make sense of this and I'm not exactly sure how to make sense of it. So what would you say is important to look at from a metric that you really do want to obsess over? What are we looking at monthly with our clients?
On a weekly basis, I'm looking at conversions and conversion rate. For sure. I want to make sure that those leads are coming in. Cost per conversion is another huge one, because if we have conversions coming out the wazoo, but cost per conversion is way too high for us to be to have good margins, then what are we doing? We need to make changes. So certainly looking at cost per conversion, conversion rate, because even if total conversions drops in the winter, things are cold, the off season, stuff like that, that conversion rate should still kind of be similar to year round. I believe that. So, and then the last thing I'll say is search impression share, which is essentially how much is the market that you have. And if you know the right metrics to look at in Google Ads, you can figure out, okay, is that lost search impression share due to my budget? Is it due to my ad quality? Is it due to my website? And that's huge, because if a client says, hey, my phones aren't ringing, and we go to look at the account and, well, your budget only has enough for 40%, 30% of the market, that means that 60, 70% of the time somebody's searching for services and your ad isn't showing up, and that's a big chunk. And so that kind of helps set the landscape. It helps us figure out what we need to adjust, what can we control, what can't we control to move that needle.
I love it. So if I'm watching this right now, if I've got this YouTube playing and I've got my Google ad account, give me some high lows. Let's start with conversion rate. What's okay and what's good and what's like, oh boy, you need some help.
On a branded campaign, I like 40 to 50% conversion rate, which is awesome. Our branded campaigns do extremely well due to the way that we set them up for all of our clients. Non-branded campaigns, 15 to 20% is awesome. Anything less, I want to make changes and I want to get it higher. I'm looking at a plumbing one right now with a 53% conversion rate for non-branded. That's incredible. And we do have several of those that are just absolutely excelling. So yeah, I would say non-branded for 30 to 40% and branded 40 to 50%.
Okay, I love that. Okay, now let's talk about another huge problem: cost per conversion. So this is not a click. This is an actual conversion. They've taken an action that we've predetermined: phone call, form fill, chat. This should be a warm lead for you, where you've captured somebody's information. I've had clients come to me that are like, we're at 400 or 500 a conversion. Is that good? I think it's awful. I think it's absolutely awful.
That's kind of double what I want to see.
It's totally double. And my gosh, does it depend? So, our client that's in the heart of Boston is going to be much different than somebody that's in rural Florida. But in general, do you think 70 to 160, 180 per conversion is fair?
It
as
depends
a
on
high-low?
Yeah, it depends on the service. First of all, AC repair and AC installation, for example, have different averages. But yeah, I like that. $70 to maybe $200. Again, it depends on the service.
So somebody, let's say 250, even 300 and higher on their cost per conversion or their CPC, they need to take serious account of their strategy, especially,
that's high.
This is designed for 7-8 figure producers. So again, think about it. This is how I kind of always look at it. If you're switching to Hero, one of my very first goals is going to be, how quickly can we make up that client's investment in our services? So if they're spending X amount of dollars and we say, boy, we think we can reduce your cost per acquisition down, or cost per conversion down by 30% to start with, or we can eliminate 12% ad waste, or we can maybe save you because you're paying for Marketing Pro and you don't need that because we're going to set you up with a much better platform. I think that's my objective, is like, how quickly can I get that client to make their money back on what they're investing in me? And I think I think paid media is easily one of the best places to start. Let's do this. Let's throw in a bonus question, because you hit on something that seems to be a little bit of a hot topic lately, and that's branded advertising campaigns versus non-branded. So for those of you watching, a branded is, I search for ABC Plumbing in Chicago and they serve up an ad for ABC Plumbing, and you go, well, why would you do that? I already know your company and I'm searching by name. A non-branded would be, I'm searching for, water well repair in Austin, Texas. So let's talk specifically about a branded campaign, because people will debate this, I'm sure, all day long. We believe in it. Tell us why.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer. And kind of to your tune, if somebody is searching, making a branded search, they're looking for a competitor, or they're typing in your name. Even if you are not bidding on your own name, somebody else's ads are going to show. And it's not that they are bidding on your name. It is that Google understands this person is looking for a provider of services, whether that's HVAC, plumbing, whatever it might be. So for that reason, Google's going to show a competitor ad unless you are bidding on your own name. And I know it hurts. And that's kind of, people don't like to do it because, just like you said, they're like, well, I already know they're looking for me. Why do I need to spend money on that click? First of all, the click is a lot less expensive than a non-branded term. The conversion rate is a lot higher. And if you're not doing it, again, somebody else's ad is going to come up before yours, even if they're searching for your name. And people are just going to click on that first thing they see. They're going to call. They're going to say, oh, is this so-and-so? Well, no, it's not, but I can get you on the schedule today. You've lost that lead. Even though they were looking for you originally, you've lost the lead. So
I think that's a good argument.
Yeah, we take a small percentage of budget. We set it up in a certain way that we've just had incredible success with branded campaigns.
Yeah, and I think when you say incredible success, this goes back to our monthly strategy meetings with our clients. We can take that data and those conversions, we can point it to or attribute it and point it to an actual line item in Service Titan. And then we pull that report, we can see that revenue attributed to those non-branded. So if you go, okay, this month we spent $7,000 on branded ads, but that generated $39,000 in revenue, well, you've got a winner. So I think it's a defense strategy. I think it's a smart strategy. I think, to your point, the cost per conversion or cost per customer is extremely low. It's something that should be in the mix. Okay, so let's do this. I always like to try to end with value and give you guys value, because I've been a serial entrepreneur since I was 19. I've started 5 companies. I've sold 3. We have a great team that knows this space. So if you're like, okay, I want to learn more, I want to consume, I want to be a better operator, I want to be a better marketer, a better CEO, whoever's watching this, 3 things we want to give you as takeaways. Number 1, my book, The Marketing Revolution. This is literally 20 years of my experiences put into a very easy, user-friendly, it comes with supporting assets, like you can walk through and learn everything about your marketing strategy and plan. It's a great read. I'm happy to send you guys a copy. Just DM me for a free copy. I'll get it shipped out to you. Secondly, our HVAC playbook. It's intended to go through with your team as a step-by-step to identify areas of weakness and areas of opportunity. And then third, finally, you've heard me reference this podcast on the workbench. That video is on our YouTube. You can catch it here. I'll put the link in this post as well. But we go a lot. I mean, I thought it was one of the best interviews I've ever been on. He's an extremely talented host. He knows the space very well. In fact, he has his own software that's just really becoming quite popular in the home services niche. And so this is a guy that knows his stuff. And so when he interviewed me, he really asked some great questions from an owner-operator perspective. So you guys go check that out. We covered a lot of stuff. It was like an hour-long podcast. And so again, our whole goal, whether you work with Heal or somebody else, is you should be safeguarding your business. You should be growing. You should love what you do. You should serve your community with excellence. And so we hope this has been helpful. Jessica, you are awesome. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to let you get back to your day and keep making money for our clients.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye, everybody.